Good morning. Glad you guys are here. Happy New Year to you. It's good to see your lovely faces again. But again, I have a chance to speak with you, a little post-season press conference of our season. But again, very proud of everyone in our organization, our players, our coaches, everyone who touched our players' lives, gave their all for Appalachian State this year. So very proud of their effort. And again, we won 10 football games. And that's a very big deal in college football. And that's something we don't take lightly here, as to win 10 football games. Played in the conference championship, went to a bowl game. And that's something that we strive to do every single year. We beat a nationally ranked football team at Kid Brewer Stadium this year. Beat teams from the American Conference, beat teams from Conference USA, and everyone in our league except Lafayette. Had a 1,000-yard rusher for the 10th straight year. And that is hard to do in college football, and that's something we take a lot of pride in here and things that we want to do continue down the road. Chase Bryce had a record-setting year, threw for 3,337 passing yards this season, set a school record, and we'll continue to improve on that. Our defense had an outstanding season. When you look at the stats really stand out to you. Again, we were first in the Sun Belt in tackles for losses, first in the Sun Belt for rushing defense, first on fourth down conversions, and first in the Sun Belt in defensive touchdowns with 4. And again, it's something that we're very proud of. Again, we had another first-team All-American in Stephen Jones for the second year in a row. Had an outstanding season. And we led the Sun Belt with 23 all-conference players. Had the Conference Player of the Year on defense with DeMarco Jackson. And another thing I'm very proud of, our fans broke a single-season record at Appalachian State University. And also, our fans broke a single-season record in our Sun Belt Conference. So those are things, a lot of things to be proud of. Again, I can't say enough of how proud I am of everyone in our organization for giving their all for Appalachian State. And again, we didn't achieve our goals of winning a conference championship and a bowl game. But again, that's disappointing, but that's not discouraging. And I want all of our fans to know that, everyone involved. It's disappointing we didn't win a conference championship. But again, that's not disappointing. We have a lot of great things to build on. Since 2015, our program is one of 4 teams in the country that have won 9+ games, and that includes Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, and Appalachian State. And that's something to be proud of. Again, they were the first team in college football to transition from FCS to Division I and go to 6 straight bowl games. We're 6-1 in bowl games. And we started the trend going back and looking at things as soon as the bowl was first of the new year to make sure we can make that 7-1 as of next year. And again, we're sitting here, fellas, and everyone in this room, and we're building on a 10-win season. A lot of programs can't say that. And we're sitting here, some want to build on a 5-win season, a 6-win season. We have to build upon a 10-win football season. And that's something our players and our coaches meet with them this morning, that we're very eager to get started and go from there. And you look back at the season, and we played 14 games. And every game we played was a championship game. We get everyone's best shot here at Appalachian State. It's not that we play someone that we don't get their very best shot. We have a target on our backs, and we like that. And that's something we strive for. We know that going into it. We're mountaineers, and we're sitting here, and we know we're getting our best shot. We're on top of the mountain, and our goal is to maintain that success here at Appalachian State. And our guys coming in, talking to our players that are coming in now from the break, they're eager to get started as we go. But as the head coach, I take responsibility for the season. And again, 10-win season I'm very proud of. But again, our goals and aspirations are to win the Sun Belt Championship and to win a bowl game. And that's something as a head football coach I don't take very lightly, and we're making strides right now to get that accomplished. We're very excited about our recruiting class. We had a great recruiting class. We have 7 scholarship players coming in today to get started for the 2022 football season. And we have a very competitive schedule next season. You guys know we open up here with North Carolina. I travel to Texas A&M, go to Marshall. We have a very competitive schedule. It's something we look forward to down the road. But again, all in all, disappointed and not winning a championship, and disappointed not winning a bowl game, but I'm not discouraged because I know we have in this room, our players are excited to get back here. But again, you come to Appalachian State to get a world-class degree and to play for championships and to win championships. Now, Our kids are doing great in the classroom. We're playing for championships, but our goal is to win championships. And I will never stray away from that statement as long as I'm the head football coach here, because that's the goal and that's our aspiration, is to win championships. With that, I'll open for questions.
Sean, certainly you're facing a big transition in the locker room. You've got I can't think of another way to describe them, but epic group of super seniors on the way out. Individual and team accomplishments are certainly speak for themselves. How significant is it in your experience, though, when a group has been around as long as those guys were, which included an extra year, obviously, to see that kind of that move towards new voices in the locker room? And, how does that work to maybe keep a program fresh, a little sharp, a little edgy?
Well, first I want to say thank you to all the seniors that graduated. If you look at their accolades, the championships they've won, and that's a tribute to those guys of really coming in and giving their all for Appalachian State. And those kids play a lot of football games here and a lot of one-a games. But now we're moving to the future. And we met this morning at 7:30 this morning and on roster management. And that's something we do on a daily basis. And we're excited about some of the new faces. Some guys, some of the players that only played sparingly through the season, that we know what they can do. And we're excited to have Chase Bryce back for another season. I think that is monumental for our program. The quarterback's been in the system for 2 years. We have everyone on the offensive line is back except Bear Hunter. And we're excited about his replacement. Our running backs, everyone from last year that contributed, are back. Cam Peoples is coming back. Daytrick's coming back. We were adding to that room as well. Our receivers I'm excited about our receivers. Our receivers, we have a lot of talent in that room that hasn't played much, but I know what they can do, and I know it's going to be exciting for our fans to see. On our tight ends, all of our tight ends are coming back except Mike Evans. And then on defense, we're going to be young on defense. We lost 3 starters at the defensive line. But again, we're anchored by Jordan Earl playing the nose guard position. But we have a lot of talent at that position that hasn't played much. And our linebackers, it's hard to replace DeMarco Jackson, who was the Conference Player of the Year this past season, who's played 2 really good football seasons for us. T.D. Roof has decided to go in the transfer portal. We wish him all the best. And then we have to make some strides on the back end as far as our secondary. We're going to be young in the secondary next year as far as safeties and our corners go, but there's a lot of talent there. And that's something that is for a coach to develop that through the offseason, through the winter workouts, through spring practice, and through fall camp, that I think we have a chance to be very successful here in the years to come.
You mentioned Chase Bryce's yardage accomplishments this year, another 1,000-yard rusher. This was the first season since you guys moved into the Sun Belt where you had passing yardage actually exceeded rushing yardage. And you said before the season, hey, don't just assume we're going to sit here and try to run the ball down everybody's throat. We've got a quarterback and some receivers that are going to force us to attack down the field, and you've lived up to that word of it. But, as you think back now and had some time to maybe reflect on it, how significant is that balance of rush to pass for you, given just kind of the history of App State football?
If you look at the years past, we've ran the ball more than we've thrown the ball, but the game is changing. And we have a lot of great athletes on the outside that can really stretch the field vertically. And when you can do that, you can actually open your better chance to run the football. And I think Chase did a great job of commanding the offense this year, having Coach Ponce back and really teaching Chase the integral parts of our offense was a huge difference maker for us. But again, it's a new year, a new team, and we look forward to this.
Last question for me. You mentioned roster management as a function of what you're doing. Justin Watts is almost like an NFL general manager now as much as a recruiting coordinator. And you guys have to make conscious decisions. How many guys are we going to go sign? What do we need in terms of experience? You mentioned being young on the back end. Maybe we need to go find some secondary help out of the portal. Talk a little bit about how that process, all those things kind of coming together, have kind of changed the way you have to go about doing your job in terms of making sure your depth chart is where it needs to be today, but also that you're building some development guys for down the road.
Well, there's one thing I do not want to do as the head football coach at App State is to live in the transfer portal. With the tradition we have here, and the continuity we have, I think you can get too much into the transfer portal. But in saying that, the transfer portal is in place for a reason, and when we have needs that we have to go get, we will look into the transfer portal. A perfect example is Chase Bryce and Madison Cone last year came in and gave us significant reps for us, and we'll do that. So we've saved a few spots just to know that we have that flexibility if that happens. And on the flip side, our players do not have to tell us till May 31st if they're transferring or not. So we could be sitting here right now thinking we're fine, and May 31st of this spring, we have 7 guys jump in the transfer portal. So I think it's a great job. We have to do a great job of communicating with our players, building relationships. I think in today's game, and especially now, that you have to recruit your own players, because when you come here to Appalachian State and we develop you to be great players, then there's nothing happening except we have a chance to be picked on, our players picked throughout the season. So I think for us, relationships and how you treat your players here at App State is a huge factor, and to make sure you have that relationship. Those guys want to stay here and get a world-class degree and play for championships.
Sean, with just some time to stew on the bowl game, was there anything that stood out in looking back once you got away from that day that maybe stood out as an issue, or things you saw that went well in that game that you didn't notice on the field?
No, I watched the game like you did. It was, again, very disappointing the way we performed. And this is not excuses, but we didn't travel with a full roster. We had guys missing the back end. We had receivers missing for multiple different reasons. But that's not an excuse. We don't make excuses here. And we know on offense we can't turn the ball over 4 times. And we know on defense we can't give up that many yards. And our coaches know that. Our players know that. And I can't sit here and beat a dead horse. We have to acknowledge the fact that we give up a lot of yards on defense. We have to acknowledge the fact that we give up a lot of 4 turnovers. But if you take the first 2.5 quarters of that football game, that was probably one of the most exciting games in college football. It was back and forth. They go up 14. We go up, I think it was 21-14, I believe. They score it before half. We get the ball. We're driving down to tie the game up. And it was back and forth game. We turned the football over on offense, and things you can't have. So to me, you can't blame offense. You can't blame defense, or especially it's a collective effort. And again, that falls on my shoulders as the head football coach. But we acknowledge that as a staff after the game, and we've been working tirelessly since that bowl game to get those things fixed.
The logic tells you that the first bowl loss was going to come for this program eventually, but just from being around this program and seeing the responses to wins, what's been the response to the first bowl loss and the way players have kind of moved on from that? Well,
disappointed, like you would be, and you never want to be the first head football coach to lose a bowl game here at Appalachian State, but inevitable it was going to happen. It happens to Alabama. It happens to Georgia. They're playing for national championships this year. But again, it's something for us to build on. And we're building for the long term here. It's not a short-term fix. It's something we want to have sustained success. And that is hard. If you look around college football, there's only a few programs in college football who's had the sustained success that we have. I mentioned Alabama. I mentioned Ohio State. Alabama and Oklahoma and Clemson, those programs. And again, that's something that we look forward to. And people ask if that's pressure. You can say it's pressure if you like to be, but there's expectations. And when you come to Appalachian State, you don't back down from expectations here. And again, that falls back on my shoulders. And I know we have people in this room right now who will come back this weekend to get back to work to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Kind of what David was asking earlier about some voices leaving, new voices get a chance to step up. As far as the coaching staff and maybe the role you play in evaluating that next group of guys that you would like to be the vocal people of this team, what is that process like maybe in the middle of a season when you see that, and how you guys start deciding who is the voice of this team when this season gets a little closer?
Well, I think it starts back with our young people. Sometimes leading nowadays is not a cool thing to do. And as coaches, we have to develop leaders. And we met this morning, and just people on our team that we've lost who are vocal leaders. And the Thomas Hennigans, he was a great leader for us. DeMarco Jackson was a great leader for us. Chase Bryce's passion was a great leader for us. And I go on the Caden Smiths of the world, but we have to develop leaders in our locker room. And I think that starts on Sunday. We get back with a team meeting at 5 o'clock on Sunday. And then Monday, we're in the weight room. And that's where you develop championships. And this past year, having a full year of workouts compared to the 2020 season helped us a bunch. And again, I think Brad does a great job in the weight room. And that's where we develop it. The off season, the spring practice, the summer workouts, and getting to the fall camp. But I know we have the right guys in the room, but we have to push those guys to be great leaders and great role models and mentors for our players here.
As far as the guys maybe you're waiting on for a decision of whether they're going to come back or not, like, do you have a kind of a number of those guys that are still undecided that you could share?
No, right now everyone's coming back. It's we meet with our players throughout the season, and to make sure that where it is. And some early in the season wasn't sure if they're coming back. Some guys they exhausted, had an extra year of eligibility, wasn't sure until they walked out there on senior day and realized this could be the last chance I play at the Rock. And after that game at Georgia Southern, that changed their minds. So there's no number. I feel very good where we are right now, and our players want to be here. I think that's important. And I think we treat our players very well here, and they know they know the atmosphere they play in. And you go to multiple Power 5 programs, they don't have the atmosphere we have here at the Rock on a Saturday. And again, I'll go back and thank our fans for creating that environment, selling our stadium out week in and week out. I think that's important to our players. And you said about how many Group of 5 programs set an all-time single-season record in attendance and a Sun Belt attendance record. I think that has a huge impact of staying or leaving.
As far as portal stuff, if you could just kind of highlight the couple of guys that have been added for App, but also maybe give a sense of, are you guys done in the portal this spring? Do you think you might have to go back? Where does it stand there for the program?
Right now, we will not sign as of 11-17 right now. We don't plan on signing any more else from the portal. And we have Caden Robinson who came in from Central Florida. But as of right now, we do not plan on signing anyone for this spring. We'll go through spring practice and see our needs where we have to play at a championship level, and we'll address those needs as they come.
Sean, I'll ask one of I think there's at least 6 guys that are appearing in postseason all-star games or have been invited. And just for a G5 program to have that many people that the professional level can kind of take a look at, what does that say about this program?
I'm very proud. First, I'm very proud of each individual that was selected to an all-star game. They've earned that right. They were all-conference players or conference player of the year. And I think it speaks volumes of how we recruit. And I do believe we're a developmental program. If you look at those kids that are playing those all-star games right now, they weren't heavily recruited out of high school with multiple Power 5 program offers. And when you come to Appalachian State, you are going to get developed not only as a football player, but as a young man. And I think when you stay in this program 4 to 5 years, we can offer you all your dreams and goals and aspirations to play at the next level. And I think it's important to know our track record of putting people into the next level in the NFL, that if those are your goals, you can get that here at Appalachian State.
Coach, when you're looking at the guys who are leaving, obviously it's pretty much the entire starting receiving lineup. When you're embedding a new receiving core like you will be this spring, how important is it to have a guy like Chase Bryce, bring that continuity from last year, but also that veteran leadership at that position?
It's very important. I think it's very important that we keep our offensive coordinator here as well. That's important because we're running the same system and you're getting the same coaching. But I can't speak enough about Chase Bryce and his leadership. He's a natural leader. Our players gravitate toward Chase, and I'm excited about our receiving core. The guys, we have a lot of talent that hasn't played much. And in the bowl game, Christian Wells scores a touchdown. Deshaun Davis scores a touchdown. Dalton Stroman, who I believe could be an outstanding player here at Appalachian State, caught his first pass. We're adding Caden Robinson. I can go on and on. I'm missing some names here, but those are guys I'm excited about. The Christian Wells, Christian Horn, those guys that played sparingly, but I had a chance to watch those guys, those kids throughout fall camp and through the season, and the plays they made. Unfortunately, they were behind guys that were 3 all-conference players, and they didn't as much playing time as they could have or should have. But I'm excited about that group. We'll be very young, but I think we can add more speed to that group and some more playmaking ability.
What do you think is the legacy of this past season? Because obviously the highs were high and the lows weren't as high. But, will this season that just went past, is it defined by the ending or is it defined by what happened before it?
When you play or coach at Appalachian State, you're going to be defined by winning championships. That's your true definition of how you're defined. But when you win double-digit games, 10-win season, you win the Sun Belt East, you play in a conference championship, you play in a bowl game, to me, that says you're on the right track. You're not, if you look at our track, we're not going from 2 wins to 10 wins. We're going from 9 to 10 to 11 to 12. And again, people have different opinions, but my opinion, this was a very successful season. But again, when you come to Appalachian State, you come here to win championships.
Last question for me. One of the guys who's leaving might not get as much attention as some of the other guys, but Chandler Staten, we've talked about him quite a few times during the year. Obviously, he was, very important in quite a few games, as well as, coming back, not even on scholarship, just wanting to see out his time here. What do you think his legacy is here and, the impact he had on this season?
When you speak about Chandler State, I think he embodies everything it is when you talk about being a mountaineer. Strong, bold, had an outstanding junior year, came back for his true senior year, didn't play as well as he could have. And through the portal, through having 6 years, we didn't have scholarship money. And to his credit, he wanted to come back and right his wrongs. And he leaves here as the all-time scoring leader, I believe, at Appalachian State, the all-time scoring leader in the Sun Belt Conference. And to me, that's a legacy that he'll have forever. And I think it speaks to everyone in our program that if things don't go your way, instead of giving up and quitting, come back and fight for it. And what he fought for was a chance to leave this place as the all-time leading scorer in our program.
Sean, you just completed your second year as head coach. Reflect back and just kind of give us some thoughts about how you changed as a coach between year 1 and year 2.
That's a great question. The year 1, I don't remember, to be honest with you. It was between COVID and everything that was happening. It was kind of, you had a great plan, you thought it was a great plan, and then on a daily basis it changed. And then you go to year 2, it's more, you're getting back more to the swing of things. You're having fans in the stands, you can practice, you can be in the weight room together, you can have meetings together. But I prepared my whole life for this opportunity, and I do believe we have a great plan here. I learned about myself as far as being able to adjust, to listen to our players. When you're a position coach, you're to have tunnel vision sometimes. This is the way we're going to do it. This is the way I know how to do it. But I think in today's age, you have to listen to your players and listen to what they're saying, because our players have a lot of gotta-dos. And when I say gotta-dos, you have to perform for a lot of people. You're performing for the head coach, position coach, the strength coach, the trainer, community service, academics. There's different things you have to perform for. And I do believe listening to our players helped us win games this year. After the first Lafayette game, we were tired. And we practiced hard here at Appalachian State. When our players were tired, and we had a very good team meeting with our seniors, our leaders of our program, and we came back and changed the way we did some things. I think that was very beneficial to our program to be able to win games in the future.
You seem to have a lot more just continuity as far as the way your staff performed this year as well. Can you talk a little bit just about your staff and as you move forward into the next year, how that helps your program?
It's to have continuity is something big in this program, and there's a lot of turnover in this program for back-to-back seasons, but continuity is big. And when you win 10 games, when you play for conference championships, people come and try to poach your coaches, and that's one thing we have to do as from the head coach talking to Doug, is to be able to increase our salary pool. To be able to keep our coaches here. In today's world, there's a lot of money in college football, and people come on our coaches. They want to know what's the recipe, how you guys win on a year in and year out basis at a high level. And they come get our coaches and move. We have really good football coaches here, but it's important for me to keep our coaches here, keep continuity, so we continue to win championships here at App State.
Can you speak a little bit also about just Frank's contributions this year and getting him back into the program and what he meant to your program this year?
to have Frank back, it's been great. I do appreciate all Tony Peterson did for our program. He did a great job for us. But to be able to bring Frank back was important. He knew the system. We didn't have to teach the system again to Coach Ponce, and he spent 2 years at the University of Louisville and brought some new ideas back into the program. But Frank Ponce was. He's a guy that we're glad he's here, but he was ready to be an offensive coordinator, to call his plays, to have his offense. And if you look at the numbers, you throw for 3,337 yards and another 1,000-yard rusher. I think it speaks for himself. And he's growing, but again, I think the sky's the limit for Frank Ponce, and we're glad he's here for one more year.
One other question, kind of on a different place. When you deal with just public social media stuff, things like that, what do you take from the comments of fans and that kind of thing? We live in a different world right now, and everyone has an opinion, and it's unfortunately our kids. That's where they get their news from, is social media. And again, when you're the head football coach at App State, you have to wear your big boy pants. And I understand exactly where they're coming from. I know they're disappointed. Well, so I'm very disappointed not winning championships. But social media can be a positive. It can be a negative. And we hope our fans use that in a positive way. I don't watch much social media anymore. But in saying that, everyone has their opinion, and they can put whatever they want on social media. But you don't know who they are, because there's usually fake names involved in it.
Questions on the Zoom today? Hearing none, we'll go back in the room.
So just for clarity's sake, you said everybody would be back. Does that include Ryan Huff, Trey Cobb, Stephen Jones, or are they not? Like, are they coming back?
Yes.
Okay.
Ryan Huff is back. Is enrolled in grad school. Stephen Jones, Trey Cobb, we're back here to finish his degree. And right now, we don't plan on losing anyone. The only one I know of for 100% certainty would be T.D. Roof, who has decided to use his extra year somewhere else.
I imagine that's some relief for a defense that was going to be replacing a lot of pieces anyways. But to bring those guys back, what does it mean in kind of this new era of 2022 App State defense?
I think it's big to have those guys back, guys that have played before. Anytime you return an All-American back in the back end, and you look at Nick Hampton coming back, you look at Trey Cobb coming back, and those are guys that have experience, can be great leaders for us. And again, they want to be here, and we want them here. But again, this is the age of the transfer portal, and if you look at the transfer portal, there's hundreds a day going into the transfer portal. So I think we do a very good job here of treating our players the right way, and to get that world-class degree, and to leave here 5 years down the road to be able to be a meaningful citizen in society.
You talked about Chase's year. Obviously, the benefit of him being able to come back for another year and play helps that room. As far as his impact on the future of that room and kind of the way he plays into it as far as teaching younger guys, what does that look like on a day-in, day-out basis?
I think it's huge for him to come back here, to have a kid that's played at Clemson and Duke and had his first year here and had a record-breaking season, but to really help the younger guys, to lead them, the DC Tabscotts, the Andre Goodmans, Ryan Berger is here today, just to watch how Chase prepares, how he studies film. I think it would be big for those young kids, because, again, the quarterback is an extension from the head coach. There's two people that get most criticism, and that's the head football coach and the quarterbacks. So to have him back, to give that leadership in that room is big for our program.